This is review of Boolean statement. When we're talking about Boolean, sometimes we're talking about a Boolean conditional, such as when you have like this, right? If 2 less than 3. So this is the Boolean conditional. We're talking about R value, L value. So there's actually a difference between R value, right? This is being evaluated. This means that this takes precedence before this assignment. This is what's called assignment, right? So this assigns a value of it to it. So you can have this 2 less than 3 being R value. Again, this R at left value is beyond the scope of this discussion. But suffices to say that 2 less than 3 value is either a true or false, right? So this Boolean conditional, right, could be either true or false. The false is, as we know, is 0, right? In C or C++, true is 1. Okay, true is 1. So depends on whether true 2 is less than 3 or not, right? And of course we know this is true, so the answer is 0. It's 1. So this thing evaluates to a 1. So what you have here is a Boolean declaration, right? And a Boolean assignment. So when you have declaration and assignment all at the same line, what do you call it? This is what we call initialization. Okay, so this initialization assigns the value of 1 to my Boolean, right? So this is also the same as this or same as this, right? So remember true, false, right? Lowercase t, right? And lowercase f, right? False. These are keywords. They map to true being 1, false being 0. So this is a quick review of Boolean statement. Let's also look at Boolean expressions, right? So when we're talking about a Boolean being inside an expression, this should be an expression, by the way. Expression is also evaluated. So you can have an expression sitting inside of this, and it says conditional expression. If this condition is true, right, this is a Boolean, right? If, right, for example, x less than 3, then these statements, they are executed, right? So if you don't have this curly braces or conditional scope here, then only the very first statement will be evaluated. And all the other statement following the very first one, they would be a part of the conditional outside. Actually, they will be outside of the conditional. Okay. So that said, this is an example, so we won't get spend too much time in this area. Let's move on to the very last one. So this very last one is an example. Like we said, you know, if without the braces, only the first line following if statement is executed. So if you look at the examples that we have here, when you have multiple statements like this, right? This, if there are in the scoping operator, then both hello and word will be executed, will be printed. However, if you have, right, your statement immediately beneath the conditional without the curly braces, then only this one gets executed. And this will be executed only if x is greater than 3, right? Otherwise, cout word will always be there. So the question is whether you may be able to evaluate this or rewrite this entire statement using case switch statement. So I want you to think twice about this, right? Or maybe 3 times or 4 times. Can you turn this entire thing, okay, what you have here, right, this entire thing into a switch case statement, right, food for thought. So we're going to do a quick demo to illustrate this. And also there's another review on Boolean that I wanted to add to, and that is when you declare a Boolean, you can assign any value to it or integer value, right? So this could be 2,000, right? And what's going to happen is this will evaluate if you cout B, okay? This will give you a value of 1, okay? So there's some sort of internal conversion that happens. Boolean, it's either 1 or 0, but you can technically assign any value greater than 0 to it. This does not work in Java, but it works in C and C++, okay? C and C++. So I just want to caveat that. And the other, in C++, you will not use cout, right? You will use printf, or you can use puts. So there are different functions that you can use to evaluate the value of a Boolean or any variable types. And that said, you can also assign a value of negative or something, negative number to a Boolean, it would also work. And anything that is not 0 will be converted or casted into a value of 1 at runtime. Okay, so we'll do this example in C++ to illustrate what I just stated. Let's go through our C++ shell. What is true here can also be turned into a C, so syntax will be slightly different. But anyway, this is our simple console application. Let's illustrate a Boolean stuff. So we can create, let's just create a Boolean, let's say, assigning a Boolean variable A to a value of 100. And let's set a Boolean B to a negative 100. And then let's just print those out and see what we've got. Okay, that's just make sure that we have them in 2 different lines so you can compare. So if we run this, as you can see, internally C++ casts, or this is true in C as well, and this is true in C as well, typecasted into a Boolean variable, which results in a value of 1, right, in both cases. So if you were to, let's say, C out A plus B, what's going to have, what you have is, now A is literally a true, right? So for any value that is not 0, and you've assigned that value, non-zero value to a Boolean, assuming that value is within integer constraint, it will turn this value into either 1 or 2, 0. And in this case, if you add them all up, you get 2. Okay, so this illustrates the idiosyncrasy of how we store Booleans in C and C++. Of course, if one of them is a 0, then it would turn into a 0, right? So bottom line, if you assign any non-zero, right, integer value, right, to a Boolean, it would be casted into a value of, or it would be internally converted into a value of 1. Okay, otherwise it'll be 0. So that's one illustration, and the other one is this. Remember that we have a use cases to turn that switch case, not switch case, but conditional. Let's say x equals 3, right? If x is greater than 3, then you see out something, right? See out, right? Hello. Else, right? You would do this, right? Right, something to that effect. How would you turn this into a switch case? Let's just do a quick illustration. Let's say if we do a switch case like this, as you know, switch case goes like this. So this is what's in here is an expression, right? So we're going to write cases, and in this case, now if we think about this, right, x greater than 3, this turns into a Boolean. This is a conditional that evaluates to either a true or false, which means 1 or 0. So there's only one possibility out of the two. Either this is a 1 or this is a 0, right? So we can simply just write that, right? Simply like this, because we know this is the same, literally same as this. Both are expressions, okay? So now this expression evaluates 2 cases, right? So you can say the first one is that, and then a default, right? Whatever this is. Or you can say the case 2, right? Case 0. So basically you have 1s and 0s here. And then what we want to do is say that if this is case 1, then we want to see out hello, right? Like this. So this is a string we're trying to refactorate here. Let's just make sure we do that. And then we definitely want to break this, right? However, if this is 0, then we would want to see out world right here, okay? And then out. And since this is the very last one, you don't have to break it, but just to be consistent with the best practices out there, because you always want to have a default, right? Just in case, even though this is not necessary here, you always have a default right here. So let's just break it right there. Let's not evaluate this now. Let's just get rid of this, right? And see if this works. Okay, so if you run this, right, as you can see here, x is 3, right? So x greater than 3 is definitely 0, it's false. In that case, we print out world. But let's say if this is 4, in this case, you should print hello, because x greater than 3 is true, right? This should take you to a case 1, and that prints hello world hello out, right, without the world. So hopefully this illustrates what we have there. And obviously, in the example that we have there, we don't have to use a break on the very first case, because in that case, it will simply just print hello plus world, right, out there to be more in line with the examples that we illustrated earlier in the slides. This complete our demo on Boolean statement.